Hi, Heather.
Hey Mike, how are you?
Good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Did you do anything fun for New Year?
No, I didn't have to, but I led a hike that started in early in the morning on January 1st. So I wanted to be, as the leader of the hike, I wanted to be at my best. So I went to sleep early, as I usually do. I wait till the ball drops at midnight in New York, which is 9 o'clock Pacific time. And unfortunately, my Cox is not showing CNN anymore. So I had a darned of a time trying to find coverage of the ball drop that was on East Coast time, but I eventually did. But it was very disappointing and frustrating. So yeah, absolutely nothing exciting happened to me New Year's Eve, but had a good hike the next day. And yeah, how about you?
Um, Same thing. I went to bed as soon as it hit midnight. So if you go to YouTube and then you search for New York local news, they'll post a video of the ball and the fireworks and all of that stuff Eastern time.
Okay, but I like to watch from the comfort of my living room, and I suppose I could hook up a computer to that screen, but I'm too lazy.
Do you have any New Year's resolutions for 2024?
Not really. Um, I could probably cut back on my wine consumption a little bit, but I've been saying that all along. So I think I'll try to again cut that down. But usually, when people try to cut down on a bad habit, they're initially a little bit successful, but without specific barriers, usually I've seen this so many times, especially with smokers, is they just creep back up. But we'll see what happens.
What kind of wine do you drink?
Boxed wine, I'm cheap, but I think that the quality of boxed wine is about on par with what you would pay for something that's about $20 a bottle in a wine store. And so I think that if you're satisfied with cheapo industrial wine, boxed wine is a good value. Now, I do not like, what's that brand called? Gallo, something like that. My father bought these enormous boxes, and that is really cheap stuff. I get the brands called Boda Box or, what's that other one? I don't remember. Anyway, the boxes that are, I think it's 3 liters, something like that. Anyway, yeah, that's what I do, and it takes
Okay.
it. And I probably one box lasts about a week, which is not too bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And
Okay,
then
how about you? Anything? Any
well,
resolutions for
you
you?
didn't answer the question.
What
Do
was
you
it?
like red wine? Do you like white wine? Do you like
Oh, red.
Chardonnay? Do you like okay, Merlot?
I prefer Pinot Noirs, and but basically any kind of red is fine. And so when I go to Total Wine, I get a mixture of Merlots and Pinots and Cabernets and the red blend, just to mix it up a little.
Okay. And
And
do you
I
eat anything with it?
I used to eat cheese with wine, but I found that the combination went so well together that I overdid it. So I have quit eating cheese at the same time, to try to again not drink as much.
Cool. I love red wine. And I think it's Chardonnay. No, it's Cabernet or whatever. I can't pronounce it.
Cabernet.
Probably. Um, I know it when I see it in the grocery store and I pick it up. And I like to have that with Munster cheese and an apple.
Yeah, that sounds good. I also like to eat wine with nuts, especially almonds.
Yes. Another good combination is if you could get one of those really good loaf of breads, like the really, really good one, and then you could have the bread with the cheese and everything, and then the red wine. Oh, so good.
So how do you pick a wine in a restaurant?
I picked the cheapest one.
That's close to my strategy. Well, first, I will see if anyone at the table wants to pick the wine. But if everyone says, Wiz, you do it, I will pick the second cheapest because I don't want to look like I'm picking the cheapest. But I'm sure
uh,
that doesn't fool the waiter, but it just makes me feel better about myself.
that's so funny. Um, if you guys want to put in the chat, what kind of drinks do you like to drink? Do you like wine? Do you like hard liquor? Um, do you like to eat anything or drink anything when you drink? Put it in the chat. Let us know. Do
Okay,
you
so
have
hmm,
do you have trivia?
no, this is going to be no trivia. I didn't have any stories to tell, so let's just get right to the questions.
Okay, let's do it. We got a lot of questions here, so it's perfect. First question is from Northern Jim. Is it more advantage to play face up Pai Gow or to play Pai Gow poker and bet more when banking? Since the banking bet size depends on the previous bet, is there a rule of thumb you can offer?
Okay. I hardly ever see player banking in Pai Gow poker anymore. And it's usually that it zigzags between the players and the dealers. And if there is an empty seat, then it reverts to the dealer's spot. So usually the player only gets to bank 1 in 12 hands. And I find that the dealers are often don't even know what to do. Like they are shocked if anyone asks to bank, like they have never seen it before, which is probably true. But
Yeah,
if
some of
but
them.
so um, what few times I play Pai Gow poker, I'm playing for such a small amount that it's not even bother. It's not worth the bother to um, cause the dealer all this stress about. He's asking to bank. This has never happened before. But you might ask, what if the player doesn't want to bank at all? Which game is better? So let me refer to my book here. So the version 3 has a new chapter on Face Up Pai Gow poker.
And where can they get that?
You can get it at Amazon. So the house edge in Pai Gow poker, following the house way and not banking, is 2.72%. And in Face Up Pai Gow poker, that is, where does it say? 1.81%. So the house advantage is lower in face up Pai Gow poker. So again, so if you're not banking either way, face up Pai Gow poker actually offers the better value, which is kind of strange because usually when there's a derivative of a classic game, that the house edge is higher, but not in this case. So there you go, an answer to a question that was not asked.
And real quick, I just want to point out Northern Jim says that he has the Kindle version, so you can get the Kindle version too.
Yep, good point. You can get the Kindle version, and it is not as expensive.
Yeah. Technic says that he likes your shirt. I do too.
Oh, this is I years ago I gave a talk at the Jack Casino in both Cincinnati and Cleveland, as well as the Greektown Casino in Detroit, because they were all owned by the same company. And this is just this shirt that they gave me.
That's awesome.
And since then, the Jack Cincinnati is now a Hard Rock.
Woohoo!
Okay, next question.
It is a statement from Ari wanting to wish us Happy New Year and may the best of the old year be the worst of your new year.
May the best of the old year be the worst of the new year. I like that. I like that.
Isn't
Oh, speaking of New
That's
Year, do you want to hear me play Auld Lang Syne on the melodica?
sure.
Okay. Okay, sorry this wasn't ready, but here we go. Feel free to sing along. Excuse me. There you go. Hope you liked it.
Yay!
I was hoping
Woohoo!
you would applaud. Here's a question
I
for the
wasn't gonna
audience.
sing.
Here's a question for the audience. So this is in the key of F major. You can see from right here the key signature. Whoop, here. But why is it in F major? Because there is not a B to flatten in the whole thing. So why not just say it's in the key of C major? Um, do you know music theory, Heather?
No clue. I
Okay,
can't even
maybe if
tell
anyone
you.
in the audience knows, it's not just this piece. I've noticed this in many pieces. So yeah, again, if there are no notes that get flattened or sharpened, why isn't the key in C major?
So if you guys know the answer to that, put that in the chat because I have no clue when it comes to music. That's why you didn't want me to sing. Like my singing would be like, oh, B forgot. Wait, what's the next part? Oh, wait, I know this. No,
Do you
no, no,
know
no,
the first three words?
no.
Well, don't feel bad. This is one of those songs that everyone on TV spontaneously sings perfectly at the stroke of midnight, but in real life, nobody knows the lyrics, except maybe a handful of actors. So the first three words are should auld acquaintance. The
Hmm.
second word being auld, that's from the, I guess it's the Scottish Gaelic. I think it's acceptable to say all. And I used to think the third word was complainants, but it's acquaintance. And it just goes on from there where there's a lot of Gaelic in it. In fact, the original lyrics were all in Gaelic, but some of them got converted to English. But anyway, thank you for letting me get that little rant off my chest. And let's move on with a
Thanks for
gambling question.
playing.
Hmm?
Thank you for playing. That was fun.
To be honest, I made a Facebook video where I played that, and as long as it was somewhat fresh in my mind, I thought I would play it again.
Cool. Okay, so our next question comes from Ari, who says, do Vegas casinos need a good, unique marketing idea that will go viral worldwide?
Um, well, it's not like I speak for the whole city, but I don't think we really need one. I think we're still going off of like the what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas kind of mood. But if you want to
They
suggest
ditched
something on this show, by all means, go ahead, and maybe it will. Maybe that will be the next marketing campaign. So I'm all
they
ears.
ditched their last one a long time ago, and I'm really thankful and happy that they did because that was the worst, absolute most worst campaign that they could have done. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Because no, what happens in Vegas, I, as a casino dealer, see, and then I talk about with everyone I know for the rest of my life. Like that is just a horrible, horrible marketing slogan.
Well, I think that they knew um, that people would remember the stories and tell them back home outside of Vegas. But I think it was um, designed to get people to think that you know that this is like not the real world, and let's just do things that we wouldn't normally do. That is very much the mentality at Burning Man. So I'm not saying it was a bad campaign. We I guess we can agree to disagree about that.
Well, I'll give you that. The number of naked people increased on the strip after that. So definitely agree with that.
Unfortunately, that number that I have seen is zero before and after.
I
um,
just need to send you some like TikTok videos.
Please do. I it seems like the really crazy stuff that happens in Vegas never happens in front of me. I am really bad at having good Vegas stories, having lived here for 22 years.
Well, don't you go to the casinos like in the morning or day shift?
Sometimes, but I usually go to the locals casinos, and um, just the boredom has a way of following me around.
Is that why you're always doing everything?
Maybe. Yeah. So I try to create my own excitement with various adventures. But when I'm in a casino, I have my mathematician's hat on, and I'm just trying to look for a good value as opposed to stirring up excitement. Okay,
Okay.
but let's go on to a new question.
Real quick, Omar just wanted to send his love.
Thanks, Omar.
So and then Northern Jim says, have you found a way to vulture stadium gaming? For instance, what if I walk by and notice a 35 plus shooting streak at virtual craps? Could that justify trying a side bet like any seven?
No, I have not perceived any way to vulture stadium gaming. And if I noticed some kind of a streak in craps, I would not bet into that at all, because every roll of the dice is independent. And if the last 35 rolls were all seven, I would maintain that the probability that the next roll is a seven is still 1 in 6.
Okay. And then Paul says, should a tip still be expected when when waiting an excessive amount of time to be serviced for a hand pay? What would you consider an unreasonable wait?
Good question. I do think that if you have to wait an unreasonable amount of time, that the tipping expectation goes down, perhaps all the way to zero. And you may recall that in the news, the MGM casinos got hacked, and I heard people had to wait hours for a hand pay, or even if they just clicked cash out, they had to wait ages to get an attendant to give them a voucher. And in that situation, no, you shouldn't have to tip at all. Um, but in general, I updated the my tipping formula in the latest version of the book. The general formula is now is you take the jackpot amount, subtract $1,100 for it from it, then take the square root of that and then multiply that by 2. And that is my general tipping advice, but you can adjust it from there according to the service you received and other factors like that. So that is all I have to say about that question.
I want to add my 2 cents to this one. As a casino dealer, if it was a normal, let's say 350 to 1, and it's, or not 350, I think it's 300, 250, anything less than 300, then you don't really have to wait too long. The dealer has to get approval of the floor, and that's just like, this amount of money is going out, and the floor would approve it. That would probably be 5 minutes. If you win a jackpot, any jackpot amount, especially on a casino table, the normal wait would be about 30 minutes.
Yeah, to expand on that, the law says that if the player wins a bet in a table game that has odds of 300 to 1 or more, then it necessitates a W2G form. And the casino, and if it's a really big jackpot, the casino will probably have surveillance review the footage, and it could take a while to get paid. And and for that situation, I think that you could, for something really big, you could use the formula that I just said. I tell the story in my book that somebody won a jackpot at a table game of over $1 million, I think for a 7-card straight flush. And he only tipped, I think like $500 on a jackpot that was well over $1 million. And that was way too little. But if let's say the jackpot was exactly $1 million. So according to my formula, you subtract 1,100 from that, and then you take the square root of that, and then you multiply that by 2. So that would result in a tip of just about $2,000, $19.99. So I would round that up to 2,000. Now you may think that's too low or too little, too low or too much, whatever. But that is just, if you put a gun to my head and said, give me a formula, that is my formula. You can accept it or reject it as you wish.
Well, it's just like tipping anywhere. It's your personal preference.
Right. But a lot of people just do not know. And like when I go to a foreign country, I don't really know their tipping etiquette. So I think that somebody to throw out a starting point is not a bad idea. And
Yeah.
I am sorry for this glare. Let me try to move my chairs around a little bit. But this is that time of year when the sun just shines right into my office.
If you stand in the perfect way with the sun hitting you like that, you could be like an angel. Ah.
It's not really helping very much.
Do you have, can you throw that on your door? Your shirt on the door?
That would kind of take a while. I should have prepared better. This is only
It's
getting,
okay.
this is just that time of the day. Anyway.
You know what?
I'm
Just
sorry.
scoot over to the left, and then you'll just have a halo around you. Look towards the camera and scoot to the left. Kind of. No, you're going too far. Okay. And then go, oh.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's just go on with the show.
Okay, so our next question comes from Paul. For the sake of chip security, wouldn't it make sense for players to color up at tables and be handed a ticket like a slot machine?
I guess so, but it's also going to be one more task that the dealer has to do. And both the players and the casino would like to keep the game going as fast as they can. And a lot of players like to just bounce around from table to table, and it's just going to be one more frustration for them to have to wait for a voucher and present it at the next table. So if I ran a casino, I would not do this. Maybe there would be a little bit more security, but frankly, do we really need that security? I don't think so. So yeah, you could do that, but I think that considering the pros and cons, it's not worth the trouble.
Next is also from Paul, who says, can you explain what's going on behind the scenes for historical horse racing machines? They look and play just like the class 3 counterpart of the same game. Also, any advantage plays.
Somebody asked this question in another live stream, and I'm afraid I don't have a good answer. I only know in theory that these machines have probably thousands of races in their database. And the way I believe it works is it picks an old race randomly, and then it maps the order that those horses came in to like some outcome, say in a game of roulette. And it might, and then it will display the outcome of the bet in the form of a roulette spin, when really was ultimately from a horse race. So that's about as far as I could take it. But I would really like to go to one of these states where they do machines that way to get a better answer. But that's the best I can do off the top of my head.
Okay. And then also, just to get a few comments in here real quick. I saw one that I wanted to bring up, and now I can't. We'll just go back to where we were. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
Next question is from
Northern Jim, what would we do without you?
Next question is from Technics, who says, in Blackjack, if I have a 16 or a 15 against the dealer 10, and other players have a 4, 5, or 6, should I stand rather than hit as I normally would?
That's a good question. So, especially with a 16 against a 10, that is a very borderline play. And if you're playing by yourself, if you want a little bit of an extra advantage, if you have a 4 or a 5 in your hand, then stand, because a 4 or a 5 is what you need to bump up that 16 to a 20 or a 21. Now, let's say that you're playing with a bunch of other players at the table. Then what I do is I just survey the cards that the players got before me. And if I see a disproportionate number of 4s and 5s out there, then I'm going to be more inclined to stand. And I only bother doing this with a 16 against a 10, not a 15. A 15 is not as marginal. So yeah, that is what I do. I just eyeball the situation. So there you go. Good question.
Sounds good. So our next question comes from, it's more of a statement, not a question. This is from Jim. Hi. I love it when people say hi to us.
Jim, not Northern Jim, but just Jim.
Just Jim. Our next question comes from Baccarat Keenmaker, who says, how to be in Baccarat, how to be casinos, how do you beat casinos using a combination of cheat sheets?
I don't know what he means by a cheat sheet, so I don't really understand the question. So please try to rephrase it more clearly, and let's go on to another one.
Okay. Next one is a comment. Heather should have sang. I can't sing. You don't want to hear that.
I
We would
do.
have no more viewers. No, like really, I can't sing.
I
I
have.
would just run you all off. Our next question is from Joey, who says, is there software that you could use to estimate the payout levels for certain progressive slots?
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah. It would be, I think it would be a nice source if there was some kind of software that said for any given slot machine, here is where the progressives tend to average. And so if you see something that is like really big, it should give you a point of comparison, and maybe it would be a better value to play it. But I'm not aware of any such product or software.
Okay. Next is from Pancakes, who says, I heard it is possible to read a dealer's spin in roulette and predict a section that is most likely to hit. Is there any substance to this?
Yeah, we get asked this a lot, don't we, Heather?
Yeah.
I don't believe it can be done according to like casino regulations where the ball has to like spin around a certain number of times, like be a really good spin. I do think that if maybe the dealer is cheating and gives it a slow spin, maybe some good ones can influence the outcome. Um, but but no, I think it requires both a combination of a cheating dealer and a dealer who has some skill in doing this. But Heather, as a dealer yourself, I'll let you submit your own answer.
So it is possible to read this, and that is why there are policies and procedures in place for this not to happen. For example, if there is a player who is standing over the roulette wheel, looking at the roulette wheel, we're encouraged to move people along as dealers. The dealer is not allowed to look at the roulette wheel when they are snapping the ball, and that's to stop them from doing this as well. So the dealer has to be looking at the layout when they snap the ball.
Yeah, that's yeah, I like that procedure.
That's a good procedure.
Okay, next question.
This is from Pro Craps, who says, Michael, thanks for helping out with craps for the Cure interview. Raised almost 30,000 this year, enough to fund a dig for a vet. You are awesome.
Well, thank you, and you're welcome. So, for those who don't know, there's Cure for the Craps, or I believe is what they call it, is they do a fundraiser every year where they have a show that goes, I think, 48 hours that's constantly playing craps and has interviews with people that are craps experts. And I always help them out with an interview and some magic tricks. And this year I was in Catalina at the time, but I pre-recorded an interview.
Okay, cool. Joey says, hit the like. So just real quick, if you guys are liking this, hit the like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Our next question comes from Saketh, who says, loved your video about poker programming, as I am a programmer myself. Are you planning to do a similar one for Ultimate Texas Hold'em? I'm interested in how one should solve for multiple decision points.
Thank you very much for the compliment. It just so happens that right before the show, I'm working on a sequel to that video where I show how to cut down the programming. I mean, the not the programming time, the computer time. Currently, it takes the program that I developed in that video 13.7 hours to analyze a pay table. And I'm showing you how to cut that down to, I believe, 42 minutes. I was in the middle of going through the three of a kinds when it came time for this, when it came time to do this show. But I'm hoping to release that sequel hopefully tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. But about Ultimate Texas Hold'em, my answer there is maybe. Ultimate Texas Hold'em, while I did code that, it was kind of a challenge because there are 3 decision points in that game, and it would not be quite as easy to explain to the viewer what I'm doing. But maybe if I just started from scratch, I could maybe come up with some cleaner code. So consider your request duly made, and I will keep that definitely in mind for a future video. As I think that going forward, I'm going to be making more videos about how to actually analyze the casino games. And I want to really emphasize that I am not a copycat writer, except in very rare situations. I do all my own analysis. I do not copy other writers. Other writers copy from me. And in rare cases where I do um, borrow something from another writer, I would like to think I'm very good about giving proper attribution. So thank you very much for the suggestion.
Awesome. Now, if you guys have any questions that you want to ask Mike, please put them in the chat and we will get through them in the order that they are received. Our next question is from Mauricio, who
Let's see if
says,
you pronounce it right.
I didn't do it right?
No.
How do you do it?
Let's see. Let's hear you pronounce his last name.
Oh, Baglieri.
That's not too bad. I would pronounce his name as Mauricio Baglieri.
Well, sure, you sound good when you say it.
Well, I am pretty decent with Spanish, and Italian is pretty similar to Spanish. I assume this to be an Italian name. Um, um, and in Spanish, you pronounce a V like with a B sound. And I like to roll my R's just to show off. So I always, so you should have seen me on my cruise in September whenever I was in Italy. I'd love to say "Buongiorno," show off what little Italian I knew.
But I mean, that's awesome because you travel the world and everything. So that's really cool that you're exposed to all these languages, and that's awesome.
Yes, one of my big travel tips is when you travel, at least learn some basic phrases like hello, good day, good evening, please, thank you. I think that it will go a long ways with people treating you nicely. If you just
Where's the
give them a
bathroom?
greeting in their own language, it shows respect. And I think it's good for you to learn something about the language of wherever you're going. Okay, so what is he asking?
Since we are talking about classes, I'm curious how much worse are slots that are bingo based. The closest casino to where I live only has those slots, and I have avoided them because it seems odd.
That is a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for it. Um, I do know that a long time ago, I made a trip to Oklahoma to study some of these class two slots. And I tend to think that they are set to a return of about 90%, much like class three games, but it may depend upon the particular casino. But yeah, that's just kind of the answer that I'm giving. It's just an educated guess. I don't have any evidence to back it up. Maybe I'll make an Ask the Wizard question out of this and do some research behind a proper answer, but that's about the best I can do with that.
Okay. Our next one is more of a comment, and I love it. I bought the Yahtzee game after the last live stream, and I'm enjoying playing it with my wife.
Yay. All right. So, yeah, it was mentioned that Heather and I play Yahtzee almost every day. Um, we play it online, and yeah. So I'm glad
And
we got somebody else interested in Yahtzee.
yes, I'm so excited about that. Yahtzee.
Yes, and
Okay.
when I play the home game, if you get a Yahtzee, you must yell enthusiastically Yahtzee, or you don't get the points.
Yep. Even on the mobile game. So Joey says, thank you so much for answering my question, Mike.
You're welcome.
Pancake says, thank you as well.
You're welcome.
And then Northern Jim says, I noticed that splitting aces in Pai Gow poker, when the next best card is a single nine or lower, works better than keeping the pair of aces. Is that a fluke?
I think that is a bad decision. I don't play a whole lot of Pai Gow poker, but I believe that you should never split up just a single pair of aces. I do indicate the standard house way for Pai Gow poker in my book, and it says for any pair, keep it in the high hand and play the two best singletons in the low. So I have to disagree with you there, Northern Jim. If you get a pair of aces, I would just hope for a push, playing the aces in the high, and even if it is just a single nine in the low, play it. But again, I'm just going off the top of my head here. Have I done any math to actually analyze the situation? No. But sometimes I just have to make educated guesses.
Completely. Next is Saketh says, thank you so much for accepting my request for Ultimate Texas Hold'em.
You're welcome.
Our next question comes from Jay, who says, the reluctance of wrong bettors who perceive the laying of odds bets in terms of diluting as a good payoff. This has led to a gradual erosion in the confidence of right bettors in taking the odds bet. Why?
Oh boy, let's see. Who perceive the laying of odds bets in terms of diluting. Oh God. I don't play enough craps to notice this going on. Not that this was asked, but I would say ignore how the other players are betting and just play your own way. Hopefully making the low house edge bets. But I would say if wrong bettors are causing an erosion of confidence in the right bettors, to that I would kind of just say, who cares? Let their confidence be eroded. That is on them. Again, my advice is just play your own game and ignore what the other players are doing.
And isn't that kind of like the light versus the dark, the pass line versus the don't? You always have that, I don't want to be betting against you because we're like a team of people and it's a social thing. And that's why some people get upset if you bet the don't pass line versus the pass line.
Well, in every game, I say, mind your own business. Especially in Blackjack, like I hate it when a player gets blamed for causing the whole table to lose. That's absolutely a myth. And likewise in craps, if there is, like, everyone is betting the right way except one person, just leave that person alone. That's his right to play as he wants. Now, I will say that if I am that wrong bettor, which I often am, I'm not going to hoot and holler if I win, because I don't want to ruin the experience for the other players. So I would say be mindful of the other players to not ruin their experience, but don't ruin the experience for other players as well. And this may not be answering what you asked, but it is my answer. So there you go. I don't think I can have anything else to say about that.
Okay. Mauricio says that you almost sound Italian. Love
Grazie.
it. Saketh says, what are some of your favorite Vegas shows that you would recommend for a newbie? Which Cirque, Magic, Spear, anything like that?
Okay, a good question. I did recently see the show Awakenings at the Wynn. Let me show you the brochure. It just happens to be right here, I think. Yeah. To be perfectly honest with you, I was not crazy about this show. It was kind of like a Cirque show, but without high-level acrobatics. The closest thing I could compare it to might be the show Ka, but again, without a lot of acrobatics. It was kind of about this battle between night and day, and this woman here, the main character, she had to find these crystals to end this war. And there was a narrator to try to explain the plot to the audience, which was sorely needed. But nevertheless, even with the narration, it was still um, um, it was like the audience, I don't think really cared. I think that they were just in it for maybe the acrobatics, the outfits, who knows? But I don't know. I thought that the show was missing a point, like there was no magic, the acrobatics were not great, the music was not great. This is not the fault of any of the performers in the show. I just felt that the whole thing was, I don't know, it was just not that entertaining. I'm sorry. I don't put the blame on the cast. It was just not a very well conceived idea. So, okay. So thank you for listening to that review. As far as the Cirque shows, my favorite is conveniently the cheapest is Mystère at the Treasure Island. That's the original show that does not really have a strong theme to it. It is just very good acrobatics, and they keep changing it up. So if you saw it 5 years ago, if you saw it today, I bet it would be almost a completely different show. Yeah. So personally, I like the magic shows. Of the magic shows, I think my favorite is the Matt Franco show. But I also like the what's that show at Bally's called? Paranormal. Is it called Paranormal?
Yeah,
Uh,
paranormal.
okay, thanks for confirming that. I like that show. I kind of like the one at the Strat. What was it called? I forgot the name of it, but it's a mentalism show. Um,
The
yeah,
Mentalist.
yeah. No, that show is at the Planet Hollywood.
Ah,
Um,
okay.
I can't remember. Maybe somebody in the audience can look it up. Look up mentalism and the stratosphere. Um, and yeah, so those are my quick recommendations.
Do you have any shows that you're excited to go see?
Not really. I could do a better job at keeping up with the shows in Vegas. I will say that I, in general, tend to not like the topless shows. These are generally just dancers singing to a soundtrack, and I find that kind of boring. Yeah, so yeah, there's no. Yeah, I should get out there more and see some new shows, but that's the best I can do off the top of my head. If you want to ask about a particular show, anyone in the audience, you may go ahead.
And if you guys have any questions you want to ask Mike, now is a great time to get them in before the end of the show. My question is, have you ever done one of those downtown cabaret shows?
Can you give me an example?
God, I can't remember the name of it. I went to it with a friend, but I had a lot of fun with it. And it was just in one of those random hotels that don't have a casino that is near downtown.
I will say that in general, I like cabaret shows if we define them as just like miscellaneous acts that are strung together with an MC. You don't see a whole lot of those, but I do like them. This is going way back, but in the Lady Luck era, there was a show whose name I don't even remember. There was a potpourri of magic and singing and all kinds of different stuff, and I really liked that. I thought it was very underrated, but the Lady Luck is now the Downtown Grand, and that show is long gone. But I really liked that show. It was also a very good value. It was very cheap.
Awesome. Okay, so our next question comes from Jay, who says, "Is there any value in delaying the taking of odds?"
No, take them immediately.
Woohoo! I love it when they're quick and easy.
Hmm.
Mommy daughter says, "Hi, Happy New Year. Why is the pass line in craps called the pass line?"
I have no idea. Yeah, I do think that craps goes back to World War II, and it was just a simple way you could gamble with just some dice. But how it got the terminology that it did, I have no idea. So yeah, you got me on that one.
I don't know either, so I can't. Northern Jim says, "I find face up Pai Gow a bit boring. Only fun is finding the smallest possible low hand that beats the dealer." Um, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree. I prefer regular Pai Gow poker. And I know my cousin loves regular Pai Gow poker, and she always complains that it's difficult to find now. And a lot of casinos only have the face up version. Um, and But yeah, it is what it is. I agree with you. So that's about all I can say about that.
Okay. And then Northern Jim says, "We need more magic tricks." And I kind of agree with him.
That's okay. The request is duly noted.
They were
Um,
just so much fun.
yeah, I think I may start doing that again. I used to do a magic trick at the beginning of the show and then explain how it was done at the end. And yeah, maybe I will get back into that. I ran out of ideas, and some magic tricks are just too good to reveal the secret. But um, well, here's one. I mean, this one is really common, but this one is great to do on kids. Is taking money out of their ear. So you just go up to a kid and say, "Hey, it looks like there's something in your ear. Hey, let me get that out. Hey, there was a chip in your ear. How did that get in there?" And the way that's done is called palming. And you just put the coin or the
Oh,
chip like this, and it just really conveniently fits in your palm like that. And I kind of like to move my hand around a little bit, so so it looks a little bit more natural. And then you just kind of go, and you just have to make sure that they only see the back of your hand. So that's one of my favorite with kids. It never gets old. It's not that hard to do. A lot of people, when they first do it, they're very, very, very stiff. No, it's really easier than you would think to keep that coin in there. And yeah, if I had a smaller coin, I would demonstrate. Yeah, let me show you how to do it with a smaller coin. Um, so, yeah, even with a coin as small as a dime, it's still the same thing. It's a little bit more hard. It's a little bit harder, but see, notice how you can just produce a dime out of thin air.
so
So there you go for you.
you probably want to do like a quarter or something if you do
Yeah,
that.
quarters are a lot easier. Um, so yeah, to stay in there better.
Hmm.
Okay,
Woohoo.
enough about that. But casino chips are the perfect size.
Yeah.
They really stay in there well. Okay, next question.
We are done with questions. So if you guys have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. We have 4 minutes, 5 minutes left. I got a question for you.
Okay.
Have you what was really memorable or what stood out to you in 2023?
Okay. My newsletter that comes out today was titled 2023 in Review. So the big things that I did in 2023 is um, there was the trip to Europe, and that was mainly a cruise, but I also went to Ibiza, Spain, which I loved. So I would say that my favorite trip of 2023 was going to Ibiza, Spain. I also climbed Mount Olympus in Washington. That was
Wow.
that was my biggest adventure of the year, and But otherwise, and Burning Man, that was great. The whole Mudfest, that was great. I've talked about that in depth previous shows. So yeah, I would say that my three big memories of 2023 will be Burning Man, Mount Olympus, and Ibiza.
Awesome. Our next question comes from Northern Jim, who says, I tend to bet more on don't come, with the point is 5-8, since the bet often ends up on other numbers. Am I fighting the natural odds?
Well, let's see. I tend to bet more on don't come. Um, well, when the point is a 5 or an 8, to be honest, I'm not sure I understand the question, but let's say that you make a don't come bet and a 10 is rolled. Um, um, yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question, but I would say that if you are making don't come bets, I would just keep them the same amount as whatever your don't pass bet was, just in the interest of lowering volatility. And and if you're suggesting making a lay bet against the 5 or 8, I would recommend not making any lay bets at all. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that is my answer.
That sounds pretty good. And then our next question comes from Joey, who says, is there a general rule, i.e., play when the progressive is at 50% or more, to use when hunting progressive slots?
Not really. Slots offer a really bad value, and I don't think that chasing progressives on them is going to be a very good strategy because the house advantage is so high and the progressives only contribute so much value to the game that I would not fuss with checking them, especially when there's so much more value to be had in playing vulturable games like Cashman Bingo and Buffalo Link, and I list a bunch of them in my book. And when you those have an advantage that are not progressive based. So yeah, there is no rule of thumb, and except that I would not bother with progressive slots in general.
Okay,
Or for the reason of playing the progressives. They may be good for other reasons.
sounds good. Joey says he will have to buy the book. Yes, go buy the
Please
book.
do. This new one is a little bit bigger, so I believe the price is 1995. I believe the second edition was 14.95, but inflation and this one is a little bit bigger. This one has 181 pages. I think the previous one was at around 140.
Nice.
Please do. I get a little cut of every sale.
Our last question for the day is from Mo the Cat. Hey, Happy New Year. Why is it during a dice roll, Daddy needs a new pair of shoes is the saying? Why not like Daddy needs a new Mercedes or something like that?
Yeah, the short answer is I don't know. Is this just one of those sayings? And I would say that shoes are more of a necessity than a Mercedes. If in fact, if someone says Daddy needs a new Mercedes, I would kind of deflate my enthusiasm because nobody really needs a Mercedes. That is a luxury, but everybody does need shoes. So I'm going to be more enthusiastic to root for somebody if they're gambling for shoe money. So that is my answer to that one. But again, the short answer is who knows where these expressions come from.
I have an answer, but it's vulgar, so I'm not going to say it.
Oh, you can tell me after the show.
Okay, sounds good. So Mauricio says everyone should get the book. I read it cover to cover and it has so much information.
Thanks,
I
Morty. I'll give you your cut later.
That's awesome. So when is the next time we're going to be doing this?
Okay, let's whip out my new 2024 calendar. How about January 18th in 2 weeks?
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Heather. And thank you, audience, for participating and all your questions. And I will see you guys in 2 weeks.
Really appreciate it. Always good to see you.
You too. Arrivederci.
Bye.